It's happening. We got an engine in the car. That's very exciting. Anyway, here's part 2 of what we got going on with the convertible. Last night, shoved the engine in it. Laura gave me a hand. When you integrate a mid plate into the firewall, it makes the rear of the intake clearance non-existent. So anyway, I'm gonna have to move some stuff around on my intake manifold, which is right there. The fuel pressure regulator usually hangs off the back of that rail. That back of that rail hits front of that firewall. So we're gonna have to move that. No big deal. I kind of thought it was gonna happen. Took a measurement, was hopeful, it failed. Anyway, put some nut certs in. So these are aluminum nut certs, trying to save as much weight as we can. Usually we use steel just because the aluminum ones, if you're not careful with them, can strip out pretty easy. But anyway, there's aluminum nut certs here. So these panels that go in here, they're made out of tie. Well, all this stuff's made out of tie, but there's like a gasket on the bottom of them, and they bolt in. And this gives you access to be able to fill up like brake master cylinder reservoirs and electronics panel, which is over there. So today my plan is, if I get far enough, start messing with the electronics panel. So I talked to Jake last night. He has my exhaust parts. So whenever he sends me a text and says, come on over and get them, I'm gonna go pick those up. So he's got the headers, the pipes that go from the headers, turbos, the down pipes, all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that in the car because I think it's going to look really good. Also, by moving the engine back a little bit, we've got a little bit more clearance. So if you followed any of the stuff that I've posted online on Facebook, earlier this year we had a failure at sick week, and basically, long story short, every time I go out with this thing, we heat and prime the oil, and well, we didn't. I didn't prime the oil and I didn't heat it. I screwed up. I take 100% responsibility. But now that the engine slid back a little bit further, like 2 inches, and we moved some stuff around up here for the radiator, I've got a lot easier access to get to this. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to being able to put all that stuff together and mock it up with some tools to see how easy it is to get belt on and off and be able to access this so I can prime the oil. So anyway, hopefully we go pick those things up today. We've got a gang of parts. So anytime I do anything with a car, I always like to clean up really good and lay out everything that I've got to do for the day, or at least the goal for whatever the plan is for the day. So when it comes to wiring, I don't lay everything out, but like we have a similar process. So anyway, turbos from HPT. These are 88 millimeter, 103 turbines. So that, clamps, the gates, obviously I just put them right back on. One thing I wanted to point out is from street driving, they get all carboned up, but what I'm going to do is disassemble them, and this little ring that you see sitting there, wait, I can't get it to fall off. Anyway, that little ring right there, I'm going to hand sand that. I think this one was a little worse. Yeah, you can see a little bit of blowout. So I'm going to hand sand that real good, and kind of like lap that in. I'll do the same thing on the exhaust as well. So battery's got to go in. Battery mounts here, right? No. There you go, right there. So I gotta do that. Also, the front air jacks are all clean. Put them in. Transmission and converters going in today. Hopefully, Laura, after she drinks some coffee and feels strong, will come out here and give me a hand trying to put the transmission on the transmission jack over there. Which, if you buy a transmission jack because you have a lift, this was like the cheapest. This thing sucks. But spend the extra couple dollars and get the one that goes down a little further, because now I have to try to pick up a lockup Turbo 400 chest high up here. It sucks. So buy the one that like is double action. This was a cheap ass thing. I don't know. As much as we pull stuff apart on this car, I should probably buy a nicer one. Anyway, converter here, transmissions over there. I'll like come back to this video when the transmission is about to go in. So at the starter, I always look for hardware like preemptively, right? So that like I try to do it the night before, so that if I know I don't have the hardware for something, I can at least make the plan to go out in the morning and get it from a hardware store, or just know that I have to order it and I'll use mock-up crappy hardware for now. I don't really like reusing hardware. So also, I've done this in other videos. These are called Nord-Lock washers. Oh, yeah, Nord-Lock. They're like a double, I don't know. They're bonded together. These things are awesome. They're lock washers. These things are freaking awesome. Nordlock. McMaster-Carr has them. I'm sure Amazon probably has them too. But anyway, if you need a lock washer that's good, those work really good. Lock washer is like your standard lock washer, compresses, and then that thing's kind of dead. So it doesn't ever really spring back well. Those Nord locks work really good over and over and over again. Got the trans cross member starter from House of Pain Performance. These starters are awesome. Look them up, Mark Payne at House of Pain Starters in Virginia. Really nice stuff. And then we got the air jack stuff. And then this is all random hardware where a lot of this stuff will just get put back into bins because I like to use new hardware every time we put this thing together, because I don't want a $1 bolt costing me $100,000. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work here and I'm putting the hardware in the firewall here now. And I think I'll go wake up Laura. I think she's awake, but whatever. All right. Give us a few, and we'll be back. All right, I'll put the transmission in. Cameron's, this is a billet bolt together lockup converter from Cameron. And then he built the transmission, so it's a close ratio 3-speed. So you might be wondering, why is it on this ghetto contraption? Well, I tore my bicep, and it's just Laura and I here today. And this thing is like chest high. It's my trans jack, again, pile, and I couldn't pick it up. So I couldn't get it up high enough. So we just rigged it onto the little service cart and a Wawa milk crate. So we're gonna shove this thing in here, but I figured the lift's up in the air, so I might as well get some footage of under here. So this is underneath of this pile. This little bracket here is for the single air shock that we're going to be using, which I'll address. I'll go over that stuff later. But this is a Performance Fab built the rear end housing. It's a floater, and something that's kind of neat is that you can access the brakes. You can pull the calipers off without even taking the wheels off because of the zero offset RC comp wheel, and then the strange floater hub protrudes out, so it's kind of sweet. The shorter an axle is, the lighter it is. So we made this thing as short as possible. So there's that. Here's underneath this thing. So 4-link is, obviously this isn't going to be where it's probably not where it's going to stay. This is just a stab in the dark, I guess. I still have to center up the rear end housing in the car and whatnot. And then here you can see the bottom of the air jack mounting. So that worked out really good. And then here's inside of the trans tunnel. So Mazir flex plate, and then we should have a heck of a lot more room than we had with the trans tunnel. Matt remade it a little bit bigger. So, and then the drive shaft safety loop centered for the rear end, but it's built bigger. The double frame rail is built bigger over here, and the reason being is that we are going to make some mounts to hold hoses in here next to the drive shaft safety loop, and then it's going to clamp onto these tubes here, because the transmission cooler goes up here, and then you got the fuel lines and all that jazz. So you know, we kind of tried to plan ahead as much as we can. So all right, we'll shove this transmission in, and we'll keep going. So it's been a long day. We got a lot done today. I was solo most of the day. Had Josh stop by, hang out for a little bit, help me with a couple things. Jake stopped by, Brandon stopped by. We finished putting in the ceiling, you know, all the seams and whatnot. I'm terrible at that. And then transmission's in. So a couple things that I've learned here is that while you think having a mid plate in the firewall and having all this space here around the transmission is great, it actually sucks to put the transmission in because you can't get to it from the top underneath the hood, and I don't know, I guess I was just pampered before. But anyway, the transmission is in. It's still heavy. Between the lockup and all the stuff inside of it, this thing's a tank. So Laura and I actually got that in, actually right after I paused the other video. And we put the center section in. So it's from Mark Williams. The Wayne and Indy Gear built it, 325 rear gear. And then centered up the rear end. The ride height is really high still. The springs that are on it are just too heavy. They're 80-pound springs. It's just too heavy. We're probably gonna have to go down to a 60 to get, you know, the shock to compress and the spring to compress. Anyway, also, I started mocking up an electronics panel. I'll do another video about electronics. That's kind of where I shine. So that's how I know how to make videos on that stuff. But got the turbos in, the turbo kit. Jake delivered them after lunch. So he wanted to come by and check everything out. So he just finished up. This is a high temp ceramic Cerakote. I don't know the series. All I'll tell you is that I've had multiple people tell me that this stuff flakes off and it breaks and blah, 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 and it looks like crap. And I've witnessed it on a couple of people's cars, and it has never given me a problem. And it's because Jake does a good job and he preps things properly. And, you know, we don't have any issues. So we had to cut some stuff up because the engine got slid back. So the engine mounts used to be here. Now they're about 2.5 inches back. So we had to, I keep saying we, I didn't do any of this. Matt and his guys over at Performance Fab did this. So he put, you know, he had to do a new recirc into the downpipe. He had to make a new tube here. He had to, I think it was that header maybe, I don't remember. One of the headers had to be tweaked a little bit. So it got cut up and welded on and whatnot. So I wanted it recoated and nice. So turbos are in, and here's the other side. That's all good. Wastegate's on, and put the radiator in. Radiator supports are in. This is the same radiator I ran. This is a Griffin radiator. This is a coating also from Jake. That is a heat dispersing coating. So this stuff's pretty wild. It's on the whole radiator. This has been on there for a while. He didn't redo this. I didn't ask him to. This is a standard, this is just like an air deflector. This is to keep air from going up over top of the radiator, trying to force the air through the radiator. And this is a standard powder coat, right? And the fan shroud, let me go around here. I made a video on this fan, but the fan is a 19-inch from a Camaro ZL1, I believe, like a 2016 Camaro ZL1. The fan shroud and this is a standard powder coat, like whatever he uses, okay? This is a heat dispersion coating. And when I get the car up and running, I'll make a video like showing it with my thermal gun. So this and this, temperature-wise, is about 30 or 40 degrees difference. You can literally, like on the little FLIR camera I got, you can see the heat coming off of this and radiating off of it. It has worked better than I thought it would. It cools down unbelievably fast now. So, I mean, partially because of fan, but also even if you keep the fan off, it's hard to heat this thing up when it's pretty cool outside. So it does really, really well. Again, I can't, I'll say it over and over again. Hit up Jake Tinsley's Custom Coatings in Easley, South Carolina. He does all of our stuff. And he did the whole car. So, anyway, so engine's in, turbo kit's on. I'm going to have to redo a whole bunch of plumbing on this thing because stuff moved around, right? The intake, earlier in this video, I didn't have the intake on it, but the intake, now that it is slid back, you can see that we don't have much for firewall clearance, right? So this was moved 2.5 inches forward, but now that the mid plate is in the firewall, we don't have much room here. So I want to be able to, like, if something tears up, I want to be able to change it and whatever without having to pull the intake off. Let me go to the other side. Oh, and then I also had to start building a new engine harness. So this is the engine harness. It is not terminated to a bulkhead connector yet because I have to figure out, one, where I know where the throttle rod's going to come through. It's like right here. But two, I need to cut a hole here for the throttle rod to come through. Like, there's the gas pedal, right? And it comes up and it hits the throttle body up here. But there's moving parts over here. So like, I have to figure out where I'm going to put the bulkhead connector over here. And this one, I just made it really long, so it's like easy. I can go to either side of the engine easily. So, I'm going to wait to do that. But this hose that's hanging here, oops, this is a connection. Oh, sorry, Jake, if you watch this, I'm going to scratch something. That's the connection for the pump gas. So it's got a Jiffy tight on it because the connections up underneath the intake are buried up underneath the intake. So the valley plate is not on the intake. It makes it even tighter. So being 24 injectors makes this thing pretty tight underneath of it, above it, everywhere. So, but anyway, the regulator used to be mounted right off the back of this rail. Well, now it hits the firewall. So that's a no-go. It will work here. I like hanging them right off the edge of the rail. It works great. I've never had any issues out of them. Plumbed quite a few cars like that. Also, I'm sure this is always a hot topic of conversation, and it's about plumbing your fuel system and yada yada. And is there a right way and a wrong way? And there's a lot of people out there that'll tell you that the way that I had plumbed this is wrong. The way I will be plumbing this is fuel will come in through this rail up front. It's going to go across here, over to here. It's going to cross over, right? It's just going to be a hose that crosses over here. Come up here, hit the regulator, single return. The regulator is capped off. The way it was plumbed, worked, never gave me any problems, was fuel came in here, crossed over up front, right? Over to this rail, came over here, the regulator was hanging over here, and then returned to the tank. Now, I have to tell you that the reason why that works is because everything's sized appropriately, okay? So there's 16 injectors on a common rail here, okay? There's a single set of 220s, right? Siemens Deca 220s or Holley 220s, and another set of AFIS 600 pound-per-hour injectors. So this car, yes, it has 24 injectors, but it doesn't ever really run on more than 8 at a time. And when we're on the trans brake, we're on the 220s and it's transitioning over to the 600s, and then it's shutting the 220s off. By the time you let go of the trans brake, the 220s are off completely and the 600s take over and fuel the engine all the way down the racetrack. So then when we return idle, it kicks the 220s back on and turns the 600s off. So the pump that I run is 20 gallons a minute, 22 gallons a minute, somewhere around there. Or 19, it's right around 20 gallons per minute. 12 AN line, PTFE, like a corrugated PTFE. So it's like the diameter is actually 3/4 of an inch. Some of the 12 AN stuff is a lot smaller depending on the brand, but that's a legit, 12 AN hose. And we've got a 20-something gallon per minute pump. We don't need 20 gallons per minute for this engine. So the pump is supplying enough fuel, no matter how I have this thing plumbed. So you talk to other people and they'll say, well, that's the wrong way to plumb it. You should be using a Y, come up here, or using one of the motion filters that's got like the dual outlets on it, which that's the move. If you're going to plumb it that way, that is the move. You know, come up, feed the back of the rails, and then come over and hit the regulator and then return. You can, and it works great. It works perfectly fine, but so does this way. Do it however you want. But if you do something and then you plumb it with like 6 AN and you're trying to run it on alcohol, and you burn something up, like don't blame me because you watched it on a video. Anyway, so yeah, that's the way we're going to plumb the fuel system. And then the pump gas fuel system will come through there. Still got to try to figure out where we're going to come through down here, because the fuel lines will be one thing, but we also have to figure out battery cables and yada, yada, yada. So we'll do videos on all that stuff. Anyway, through the UGTs into the headers. I'd prefer to not have to cut these and replace the probes just because they're short. So I'm going to try to find a spot here where I can put EGT bulkheads. And that led me to my electronics panel. So the electronics are going to be used in this car. These are all mock-up plastic parts. So this is the Dominator. This is the Hardwire PDM28. This is we got a little extendo stick. This is a injector driver module. This is also an injector driver module. That's an EGT module. And then that's Pro 600. So I'm just going to go on a little tangent here, so deal with it. I read the stuff online about, oh, Fuel Tech, it's all in one box, or Hall Tech, it's all in one box, blah, blah, blah. There is nothing out there, nothing. Hall Tech R5 can't do it. I know, installed them, tried it, doesn't work. You cannot run 24 injectors off of one box. With Hall Tech, can you run 16? Sure, but the PDM is so lacking, it's unreal. That's why they came out with the PDM 16, and it's still lacking. I'm not talking bad about them. They're good products, but for this car, this is the combination of parts that this thing needs. If you want to run 24 injectors, but you don't want to run them sequentially, like maybe you want to batch fire some, you can pull it off in different ways. This is how I like to do it. It's my car, it's my money. This is what I'm going to do. So if you're in the comments and you're like, well, what do you have to inject? That's why. So you put an end to that. And don't send me messages on Facebook like, well, can you explain this or explain that? I'm explaining it right now. Pro 600, I've made other videos on this. It is basically like 8 flamethrowers. That's another one where people are going to argue, oh, Shane Tecklenburg made a video about IGN-1A coils and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, great. The Pro 600 is literally 8 flamethrowers. I know that you can put them in a pressure chamber and you can check this and that and blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, Pro 600 is 8 flamethrowers. It's been fantastic for me. I've put them in a lot of cars. If you wire them right, don't have any problems out of them. I've even put them in nitrous cars, and we've picked up power by pulling timing out of the motor because we've got more spark energy. So anyway, that's all there is for that. So yeah, that's where we're at with it. It's been a long weekend. My to-do list got shorter. Tomorrow we're gonna try to work on some brake line stuff. This is my fire system. This is a Lifeline 360. This is a Novec 1230 system. If you're interested in this, look them up. I'm also a dealer for them, but this is the entire fire system. If you are interested in buying one of these, hit me up, and we can help you spec it out correctly and yada yada. They've got electrical systems, which that's what this is. This doesn't have a pull cable. This is an electrical system. So it's powered by a little 9-volt battery. It's got a little control box. And then you mount 2 buttons, and then you can run electrical wire that melts at certain temperatures all throughout the car, so that if the car gets too hot, it'll melt and then it auto ignites. It's pretty awesome. Same stuff they use in Formula One. That's where I look to a lot is, you know, like when there's a body of racing that doesn't have a budget, what do they use? And if it's reasonably priced, which this is, it's actually could be cheaper, smaller, lighter, a lot easier to install. I mean, really light, you know. You don't have 2 big 20-pound or 10-pound bottles. And those other systems, they work great too. But this is just a different product. The volume that's in here, the pressure that it runs in, is equivalent to running, you know, 15 to 20 pounds of foam. So, so there's that. Anyway, this is the fuel filter system 1. It's probably gonna go for a ride because I don't know where I'm gonna put it, and I don't really like it. It's nice, it works great, but now that Motion or Fluidworks came out with their big filter, and I've installed a couple of them, it's a heck of a lot easier to mount. They're lighter, filtration is the same, and flow capacity is the same. So probably gonna go there. Oh, and I just got done doing this. This is my little port for the air jacks. So you plug the little thing in here, and then car goes weep. There we go. So, yeah. Oh, and then there's the mechanical pump hanging out in here. Don't mind this big Home Invasion zip tie for holding the quarter panel in while some more, whatever that is, 3M panel bond, dries up. So, anyway, yeah. I'm going to try to do some more of these videos. We leave on Wednesday morning. If we get a bunch accomplished tomorrow, maybe I'll make another one tomorrow, but, we'll see how it goes. So let me know in the comments if I suck at anything, or everything, or if I'm good at any of it, and what you think. Also, if anybody has a good idea to seal this up, I would love to hear it. I would absolutely love to hear it. The air jacks come through, here we go. There we go. The air jacks come through a piece of carbon, and it's tight. Like Matt did a killer job cutting it out right. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a big sloppy hole, but it's 2.5-inch diameter. The hole is oval because this panel's on an angle. And I bought some 4-inch grommets for it, but a 4-inch grommet really only gives you like 2 3/4-inch hole, or 2.5-inch hole. It's not going to work. It's not going to fit. It won't look right. So I'm looking for a better solution. So if you guys got any ideas, I want to seal it because the idea here is to try to keep smoke out of the car. So, and that's like in a pretty smoky zone, both of them. There's one over there, one over there. So let me know if you guys got an idea or a product you know of besides, Permatex or window caulk or something. So, all right. Tomorrow I'll measure for drive shaft 2. Wiles drive shaft is going to be the go-to for drive shaft this go around. Ross Chandler's pretty awesome dude. Talked to him for a little while. Great customer service, and I want to deal with him this go around. So anyway, let me know what you think. See you.